Marie, and I'll be speaking today, and good morning. I want to begin by sharing something of myself. I come from many backgrounds. I'm Mexican, Cuban, and Lebanese American. Growing up and being raised in different cultures gave me a chance to appreciate and take away meaning from each, even when I did not fully belong to any one of them. However, I want to share with you today and speak about a beautiful tradition from the Mexican side of my family, Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead. For many years, I lived away from my family in New York, and I did not celebrate this holiday every year. It was finally when I came to live here in Florida in 2018 that I began celebrating with them annually, and it became more and more a part of my life. I sometimes feel that I don't completely fit in. Having been naturalized as an American citizen and raised here my whole life, I was often a spectator, especially on our trips visiting family in Mexico. It's like standing both inside and outside the traditions. Yet I feel gratitude for this perspective because it has given me insight. I can look at Dia de los Muertos both as someone within the culture and as someone who has learned to appreciate its beauty and meaning from a worldly perspective that connects us all. From this viewpoint, I'd like to share with you today. Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, is a tradition where families gather to honor their ancestors and loved ones who have passed away. Homes and cemeteries are filled with color and light. Families build altars decorated with photographs, candles, and flowers. They cook the favorite foods of their loved ones and place them on the altar, believing that the spirits return for a visit. These communal rituals provide the care and respect for those who have passed and reaffirms our belief in death as not the end, but a transformation, a spiritual one. Music, parades, and laughter also remind
Memory
us
is
that
more than nostalgia,
it
it is a spiritual
sorrow,
connection.
but also part of
Every culture
life
finds
cycle.
meaning in remembering the dead.
Dia de los Muertos teaches that memory is not passive. It keeps relationships alive across time. Remembering together helps us grieve, celebrate, and affirm life. When we remember, we affirm the worth of each life lived and recognize how our own lives are shaped by those who came before us. This is not just looking backward, but acknowledging that our existence is woven into a greater web of life and death. Dia de los Muertos is rooted in the practices of indigenous peoples of Mexico who honored ancestors with offerings of food, incense, and flowers, guided by, and I have to be careful, the Lady of the Dead. Whew. These rituals were later reshaped under Spanish Catholic influence when colonizers aligned them with All Saints' Day, November 1st, and All Souls' Day on November 2nd. It was not always a peaceful blending. It came through colonization and conflict. The blending of traditions came through hardship, as indigenous rituals were often suppressed or labeled as pagan. Yet people adapted with resilience and weaving saints, crosses, and rosaries into their practices to ensure survival. What emerged is both indigenous and Catholic, both of resilience and beauty that shows how memory, culture, and spirit endure. When we celebrate Dia de los Muertos today, we acknowledge both the richness of indigenous Mexican and Spanish Catholic traditions and the complex of their history. In doing so, we make space for cultural learning and respect in the blending of traditions. This too is part of the interdependent web of existence, reminding us of our capacity to find truth and meaning in cross-cultural practices. Symbols that make the invisible visible. They let us embody remembrance. So now as I describe these symbols, I want you to know that I have set up a small altar here. You'll be able to see these items as I point them out. Well, I wrote it down, but I'm here, so you can try and see me there, because I have a microphone. So the tradition comes alive not just in words, but in demonstration. Altars, or ofrendas, are sacred spaces where photos, candles, Food and flowers create a bridge between worlds. Catholic symbols such as crosses and saints often stand alongside indigenous offerings. Marigolds or cempasúchil are the flowers of the dead, guiding spirits home with their bright color and scent like lanterns of memory. La Catrina, the elegant skeleton woman, symbolizes that death unites all, rich or poor. This connects to the phrase memento mori, meaning remember death, not as a warning, but as an invitation to live fully. Alebrijes, as in the Coco clip, are colorful, fantastical spirit creatures. I have some of them on the altar too. Often imagined as guides for the soul, like guardian angels in vibrant form. Families also prepare food offerings, including pan de muerto, or bread of the dead. This round, sweet bread is decorated with dough bones and a central skull symbolizing the cycle of life and death. Sharing this bread reminds us that remembrance is both nourishment and hospitality. Now I invite you to bring a photo, and if you also have a personal item or food of your departed loved ones, bring that as well. Let's each have a moment to honor them as you place them on the altar. Please share a moment and say something, or tell a story about them you remember and love, as we all wish to celebrate those who have lived alongside us and bring them back to life. And also, if you didn't place a photo in the bag with the Velcro, the pieces that you might have, like frames or loose items, I ask that you keep that, and when we move the altar to the main hall, you may place them later on it. But you could still come and say something about the person that you will place the photo on. And I'll have a microphone, and you can say something, and you can line up to the right here and place them as we speak about it.
When we built the new congregation, this building, look around, it's his work.
You want to hand them?
Oh, yeah, we'll walk it down. Oh, place the photo first. Do you have anything to say? No. Okay. Mary Ann?
Hi, I'm Mary Ann. I don't have a photo, but I'm remembering my niece Kelly, who died of breast cancer at the age of 44 and left 2 young children. Anyway, thank you.
Hi, I'm Eric, and I'm remembering both my mother and my father, no longer with us.
Just go ahead.
Hi, Ted Siddell, and I'm remembering my father who disappeared in Africa in 1971 and was never found.
Hi, I'm Nancy Hutter. I'm remembering my dad, who was my best friend and had a way of loving life and was always happy, amazingly so.
I brought 2 pictures. One is of my parents when they got married, and their names were Nora and Osvaldo. And then my grandparents my 2 grandfathers are right next to them, my abuelo Santos and my abuelo Hipólito. And then my grandparents on my mom's side, my abuela Mina and abuelo Santos.
Thank you. Ann?
I'm Ann Chapman, and I brought a photo of my dad, Jim Preston, who passed 10 years ago, and I think about him all the time.
Hi, John. This is my beloved mother, my father, my brother, my second youngest brother, Tomas, and my older sister, Donna, who just lost a month ago.
Thank you, John.
Hi, I'm Rona Solomon. I have 2 things. First is the last memento that I have left from my 3rd high school boyfriend, Elliot, And last winter, we went to a Lucy Kaplansky concert, and Patty Larkin was playing with her, and Patty told the story about the first day she busked and how she bumped into Elliot in Harvard Square, and it turned into a three-ring circus with dancers and singers. And so Elliot was moved to St. Louis, and I didn't know he died till I went to his Facebook page to say happy birthday. I know. And this is a picture of my brother when he was 20. He was a terrible older brother, but he lived to be 67, and he became a very good friend.
This is the prayer card from my father's funeral from 6 years ago when he passed, surrounded by with my mother, who's here with us, and his 11 children as he moved on.
Hi, I have a picture of my father in the kitchen in Scotland where we used to live in a place called Mulgai, with his grandson having a cup of tea, which he always used to have, with a nice piece of shortbread. So this is a picture of him. This is a picture of, and his name was Martin McGrath. This is a picture of Howard's mum, Doris Prentice, in Aberdeen, that one is in Arran in Scotland, where we went for a vacation one time, and she's with her grandchildren and me. I've got brown hair in this one, so I look very different. And then this is a picture of Doris with Howard in Aberdeen, where Howard was brought up and where they lived and where we went to university.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I brought a photo of my mom, who we lost in 2012, and a photo of my two grandmothers together, which is an amazing photo because my mom's mom lived in Australia at the time, where she had immigrated to from the Middle East. So the fact that my two grandmothers got to take a picture together is amazing.
I'm Diane. I have a picture of my mom and my husband, who are both the wind beneath my wings. They both loved life and loved people, and were very funny too, and tolerant, I must say. And my dad, who died at 48, and my brother, who died at 48, that I don't have pictures of.
I'm Judy, and I brought two pictures. One is of my beloved friend Kathy Leonard, who helped to start Jamadal Interfaith, and the picture she chose for her memorial, her celebration of life, was this Quaker-raised, Buddhist-following Jewish congregation member wearing a hijab. And my mother-in-law, Evelyn Kaiser, who lived to 100 with the philosophy that sweets are good for you. And I wear a necklace with her other motto, which was, she believed she could, so she did.
Hi, my name is Kelly. I brought a picture of my grandmother, Marilyn, who, when she moved down here, this congregation was a big part of her life and building community, and as well as joining the choir. So we put this picture up in honor of her.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Leggetti. I brought a picture of my dad, who loved the water and boats and loved music, and a picture of my dear friend Susan Caruso, who also loved music, and they died just 3 days apart this year.
I brought a picture of my mom's parents and my dad's parents. I have both sets of grandparents with me here today, and my in-laws.
Hi, I'm Lucinda. This is my daughter, Adriana, and this is a picture of my mom, who we lost like a year and a half ago.
Here is a picture of my parents, my mom and my dad. I remember them for their love of family, for their humility, and for their good manners, and for love for people.
Hi, I'm Bob, and this is a picture of my parents. Love them very much, miss them. And my brother, he died about 3 years ago. He loved music. He followed Buddha principles. He meditated every morning at 5 in the morning for about 40 years.
My name is Henry, and I'd like to honor my older brother, John Gabriel McCarthy. He had a career he had a learning disability and worked as a low-level, low-income service worker, but he was a self-taught artist, and he chose never to sell any of his paintings. And after a year of caring for him, we had to bring him to a skilled nursing facility. And the fourth day he was there, after we had curated 8 pictures to take to his room, to hang in his room, the director of the facility called up and she said, you know, we'll have a problem, and none of John's paintings are in his room, and all of the employees who have them claim that he gave them to him. And I said, rest assured, that's nothing. He did that all his life. He never sold any of his paintings, and he gave them away, including furniture and clothing that he painted.
My name is Aurora, and I'm here with the name of my mother, who was also Aurora, and a drawing of my pet, because in Mexico we also celebrate the pets that pass. Thank you.
I'm Celia Hirsch. I brought us some real marigolds, which are the flowers of death, to honor both my parents, my mom, my dad. My mom left young at 50. My dad passed in 2000. They're both great parents.
I'm Sharon Drew, and my husband and I moved here in 1980, and we have been members of this congregation, had been members with this congregation for 45 years. He died 3 years after we moved here, my husband did, and at the age of 42. And then the other picture that I have is my son, who died 14 years ago, who was also Bob and Rob.
After the service, please enjoy some pan de muerto and some things that people brought in memory of their loved ones. We will be taking this table to the main hall. So before we finish, please remain seated at the end, and we'll move the table before we exit. And we'll let you know once we put it over there. We just don't want to run into you with the table.